Um, so welcome everybody. My name is David. I'm the CEO of Integral. We're the guys who build Fusion Reactor. And today I'm going to be talking about revolutionizing monitoring with AI and a journey towards proactive problem solving. So hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that for you today. Okay, so quick agenda. I just want to express what Fusion Reactor's goal is. It's not changed, but I wanted to share it with you anyway. Talk a little bit about the evolution of monitoring, where it's come from, where it's going. Then talk about OpsPilot. OpsPilot is the name that we've given for our AI integration into Fusion Reactor. And then going to do a demonstration. That's going to be the largest part of the session today. And then to wrap up, I'll be showing you the difference between Fusion Reactor on-prem and the cloud, so that you can get a good picture of that. What's involved if you want to move from the on-prem version into cloud, and then I'll wrap up with that. Okay, so without further ado, I'll jump in, and I've got somebody saying they're not able to hear. Hopefully, that's not everybody, right? So most people can hear. Okay, works for me. I can hear fine. Okay, all right. Just wanted to check. So maybe that was Raju. Maybe you want to check your speakers there. Okay, so our goal. Basically, we want to help developers get better insight and better transparency into their applications, and essentially speed up the task of finding issues. And an issue can be a performance problem, it could be a stability issue. This is really what Fusion Reactor's always been about, and Fusion Reactor has been around since 2005. And we've always had a very clear focus on helping developers. So the evolution of monitoring. Basically, monitoring has definitely come a long way. If you think back to the early days, where we were basically just getting input from console logs, or you were writing stuff into log files. What we've got today with Fusion Reactor is obviously it's way beyond that, but sort of currently responding to a problem is pretty much reactive. So you see something in your application, something breaks, or you can see that something's slow. You then go into the monitor. And Fusion Reactor is very good at highlighting where a particular problem would be, but it's reactive in that you've got to actually react and go in and look at it. And usually you require pretty deep know-how, even with the information that Reactor provides. Like I said, it's very developer focused, but the information is quite low level, which is good if you're a developer. But you still do need quite a lot of know-how to understand that information and then act upon it. So OpsPilot AI, essentially change ahead. And the idea with OpsPilot is that we're moving from a reactive scenario to proactive monitoring. And it's almost like having a DevOps expert who intimately knows your application, who is sort of sitting with your application 24/7, watching over it, and being able to understand what's going on and being able to respond in order to provide you the exact information that you need in order to address an issue, whether that issue would be a performance problem or a stability problem. That's essentially what Ops Pilot provides you. And I'll be able to demonstrate this for you when we jump into the demo part, and hopefully it will be very illuminating to see what it can actually do. Just a couple of words, really, that I also wanted to talk about with the whole AI thing. I'm sure everybody's heard of ChatGPT and probably used ChatGPT. We were on the OpenAI beta for 2 years prior to the launch of ChatGPT. So if you remember, that was launched at the end of November 2022. And like I said, we'd already been on the beta for 2 years prior to that. So we were quite familiar with what was going to come. And that enabled us to actually be the very first company in the world to deploy a generative AI solution inside a commercial monitor. So we launched with Ops Pilots in May of last year. And so some of the important points here, so end of the single pane of glass concept. So very often in monitoring, people talk about this single pane of glass, so having some dashboard that shows you everything. That will definitely go away. So the AI will be able to use context awareness and current situational awareness to understand what's going on in your applications. We're also using intelligent machine learning. So we just released our first beta of machine learning, and I'll be able to show that to you as well. And we think of this as sort of dynamic observability. So what that means is we're watching the application all the time, and we're able to respond instantly when something happens. And an important point there is with the machine learning. So usually, if you think of, let's say, setting up alerts on your applications, you've got to sort of already understand what is an alert. When do you want the monitor to actually alert you? And with the machine learning, that's made much, much simpler because the ML is watching your application and watching for changes. So as something would happen, the machine learning would essentially kick in. So you don't need to set up a specific alert. It recognizes when something goes wrong and then tells you. And we're actually using now, some of the technologies that we've got here, we're actually using ChatGPT 4 Turbo, which is the latest model. We've also got another technology called Deep, which is dynamic application observability that enables us to instrument inside your application at runtime. So look at variables, see how variables change, and we're going to be able to feed that data into the AI so that it can use it to provide better analysis. So if something was breaking, you can imagine, some variables spiking. We could feed that variable into the AI to let the AI decide what the problem is. So very, very real time. And then we've also at the center of Ops Pilot is a technology called LangChain. And LangChain is, if you're sort of familiar with Kubernetes, so orchestration for Docker, LangChain is orchestration for AI technologies. So LangChain is at the center that enables us to bring all these different technologies together. Okay, so let's jump into the demo now and go through that with you. Okay, so This is Fusion Reactor Cloud. And this is the overview screen that we can see here. On the right-hand side, in this pane, this is the Ops Pilot Assistant. So as I've opened that now, the idea with that is that Ops Pilot is permanently around, and it's permanently able to answer questions. And you can imagine, as you're interacting with the monitor, Ops Pilot is essentially there. It's providing answers inside the assistant window, and that can follow you around in different on different screens within Fusion Reactor. So some of the other areas that we've got here, we can look at various different servers. So these are the servers which I've currently got running. We've also got an applications view. So this is showing me all the different applications that I've currently got running. Then we've got the alerting area. This is showing me all the alerts that I've currently got set up. And I can see it looks like I've got one that's currently firing at the moment. This SQL connection's too high. We've then got a tab specifically for analyzing logs. So one of the big differences between Fusion Reactor Cloud and Fusion Reactor is that we can permanently stream logs into the cloud interface. And this is not just Fusion Reactor's logs, this is any type of logs. So if you're using, maybe you've got another application now, like, I don't know, Paper Trail or Splunk or something like that you're using to capture logs, then Fusion Reactor Cloud could also be a replacement for that, because we're able to pull the logs together, also in context with all your transactional information and your other metrics. So it's really, what we've built here is sort of an observability platform. And then we've got what we call the Explorer, and the Explorer enables us to explore metrics, logs, traces, information coming from deep. So this real-time observability data. And then finally, we've got the dashboards area. And I'm just going to spend a little bit of time to look through some of the dashboards with you here. For people who are familiar with Fusion Reactor, you will have, at least the on-premise version, we never had anything like this in Fusion Reactor on-prem. So with that product, it was just really focused on the application and very, very much on application-specific metrics and transactions. But with the dashboards, we've basically got lots of different dashboards where we're integrating different types of telemetry. So if I take an example here, this is the MySQL dashboard. And this is showing me telemetry out of my MySQL database. And if I take a look at the integrations here, you can see these are some of the integrations that we've currently got, and we're adding to these all the time. And you can see I've got Elastic, I can look at IIS, Mongo, Nginx, I can look at specific nodes, Oracle, Postgres, RabbitMQ, Redis, for example. And this is defaulted to the last hour, but I can just pull out the time. So it's very easy with the UI that we've got here in the cloud to change the time frame, and that updates very, very quickly. We've also got, if for people who are using Kubernetes running Docker, we've also got about 20 different, there you go, about 20 different Kubernetes dashboards. So this is showing me the various namespace pods, and you can see there's lots of different telemetry that you're able to see here. Let's take a look. If I go back to, let's just go back up to home, and then I'd like to show you some of the, let's take a look, some of the fusion reactor dashboards. So this is what we call the span metrics dashboard. And spans, you can think of them sort of as sub-transactions. If you're used to using Fusion Reactor, you'll know that we track transactions or web requests, but you can actually split a transaction or a web request down into sort of sub-transactions, and we call these spans or span metrics. And you can see here, I'm looking at the last hour, and again, I can increase that. And what you'll notice here is if I click on one of these graphs, I can look at events, which are log events, or I can say, show me the error traces. And what you're looking at now is so within that graph, I'm looking at all the errors which occurred in and around the point where that graph peaked. And if I drill into one of these, so I'm actually looking at an error here. What I mentioned before with the log linkage. So you imagine if something is breaking and you're generating a log for that. So in this particular case, this is running Lucy, and it looks like there was an error here. And if I just scroll down, you can see there's a link to OpsPilot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. And this is one of the AI integrations that we've got built into Fusion Reactor Cloud. So for every single log line that is captured, there will be a link into OpsPilot. And you can see in this particular case, it's analyzing. I didn't actually look what this is. So this is, there was a timeout limit, and there was a request timeout exception that was being thrown here. And what OpsPilot will always do, it will give you a detailed analysis followed by what the potential solutions could be to solve that. So, hopefully you get the impression of how rapidly you can get an answer out of OpsPilot, so an answer from the AI. And this was just taken just by analyzing that single log line. So it took that information, but it's also analyzing it within the context of your application. And that's a very, very important point, because it's that there's obviously a lot of context that you've got inside your application, which the AI is utilizing to provide, very, very sophisticated and very, very good answers. So here it's given some tips. So increase the timeout limit, optimize the database query, and you'll notice it will, in this case, it's providing an example of how you could create an index for how to do that. So another example that I've got here, again, if I go back into the dashboards, and I'll just show you that with another example. This is the log errors dashboard, and if I filter that based on logs, then, for example, here I've got an Nginx error. So this is nothing to do with Cold Fusion, but again, we've got linkage to OpsPilot, and again, OpsPilot will provide an analysis of that error, and I can see in this particular case, let me check. So this one, there was a file missing. So it's basically telling us to check, it knows which location that file should be. And it's telling us to, in this particular case, to check if the file exists, check the Nginx configuration so it knows where the config file is, restart the Nginx server using sudo, check the file permissions, and if the file permissions are not correct, then it's even giving you the chmod command to correct the file permissions. So again, you know, some people might look at this and think, oh yeah, well, obviously, you know, I'd figure that out. You know, and I know to check if a file exists. But if you think of it sort of from, you know, imagine you've got sort of maybe a junior DevOps engineer, and what the AI is doing here is really just giving you a step-for-step checklist on things that you can go through and you can verify. So obviously, depending on the issue, there could be very detailed answers. In this case, it's more of a generalized response, but I think it can be still, you know, very, very useful, really, to support you. Okay, let's take a look at the servers, and I'm going to take a look. I've got an application here, CF Storefront 1 and 2, and this is running an application. This is actually built in Cold Fusion, and I'm going to take a look here. So I'm sure people will recognize this screen. This is, if I show you this guy. So this is our on-prem interface. So this interface here, this is the web metrics screen. This is actually, it's the same thing. It's the web metrics screen. This one, the main difference is this is much more configurable. So I've just pulled in another metric here. And it's very easy for me to, I don't know whether I've got nothing in the code cache, buffer pool. Yeah, I can see the buffer pool direct. So I can just add metrics into here. But what I can also see, if I click on the web requests, so we've basically made this pretty much identical to Fusion Reactor on premise. So these are the different views that you've got. And this is actually, this is running live. So it's pretty much real time here. And in my error history, I can see I've got a number of errors which have come up. And let me just see if I can, there's one that I wanted to show you, which I'm not sure if this is the one. Oh no, that's not it. Okay, let's go into error history, see if I can find it there. Okay, this is actually, I think this is the one. So this is buy now. So for those familiar with Fusion Reactor, you'll remember that there's, you can see event snapshots and errors. And this is the error in this particular case. This is a stack trace. And I've got payment decline for transaction 57492. So I'm not sure, I mean, sounds pretty obvious, but let's see what Ops Pilot makes of that. And it knows that, okay, pass the stack trace in, and it gives us a summary explanation. So this error is related to payment declined. And now it's going into a detailed analysis. So the stack error shows that the error originated from this buynow.cfm call, and it's giving the potential solutions. And these are actually quite detailed now. So it's suggesting we check the payment details, which it knows which table those are included. So it's provided the select statement for that. It's telling us to check the payment gateway in case that's configured correctly. Check the application code if the payment details and the gateway are both correct. And finally, check the server logs because there could also be some information in the server logs. So that's pretty detailed response. And again, this is in the context of your application. So usually, if it recognizes that there is some code that would need modifying, then it will also offer up or suggest some code in that particular case. So some of these other tabs, if I just show you these real quick, you can also see the let's take a look at the history and let's change the time frame. Nothing. Okay, that's interesting. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, maybe there's no maybe no JDBC on this particular application. That could be the case. What else have we got? We've got the stack trace view. So here I just performed a stack trace command. So I'm basically looking at every single thread on the stack, and you can see how quickly that returned. I can also, if I search in here, I can also do a full text query search. So these are all the threads which include the word reference, for example. I can also see whether I've got any profiles. I've got some profiles in this particular case. We can also see those. So let's just take a look now at the applications, and I've got an application here, this JSP test app. And what I'd like to show you here is one of my transactions, this generate.jsp. This is actually building a database in this particular case. And databases are another area where the AI can be very, very useful. And this is the trace. I'm just scrolling into this this trace with the wheelie on my mouse here, but I can see one of the areas that I've got is generate tables, and these are all the commands to generate the table, the three tables, and I've also got a link into OptPilot here. So let's take a look and see what it says. So in this particular case, it's passed in. So summary, it's basically explaining that we've created these three tables. It tells us this is standard SQL, and it's pointed out there's a few areas for optimization here. So again, it's seen that these birth dates and created fields are of type varchar. That could cause some issues. This employee ID as a field com ID, which seems to be a reference to a company. If this is the case, it would be better to create a foreign key. And logo is a field in company, which is of type blob. It's 5 megabytes. And this is only suitable for storing small to medium size images. So basically, based on that analysis, and there was nothing, so in this particular case, there was nothing wrong with the actual building of the tables themselves, but it's analyzed it and offered some suggestions of how we can improve it. And again, because it knows it's SQL, it's provided the SQL commands which we could use to make those suggested changes. Again, very, very direct, very useful. I really believe this is very, very useful information. And you can also see the speed at which it does that. The GPT-4 turbo engine we found is very, very fast. This has only just been released very, very recently, but it's really quick, and we're finding the response levels are also really, really good. So the answers are actually very good. Another example that I can show you is if we take a look at performance problems, and here right up at the top, I've got a transaction called poorperformance.cfm. The name gives it away. And if we take a look at the profile here, what this is actually doing, this seems like quite a complex profile. And for those people who are familiar with profiling in Fusion Reactor, the profiles tell you how much time in percentage and real-time terms that you're actually spending inside individual methods. So you can see here, these are all the methods. A bunch of these methods are cold fusion methods because we're running this in CF. This is running in CF 2018. But if I pass that profile into OpsPilot, let's see what it comes back with. So this tells us straight away that this performance profile indicates that the application is spending a significant amount of time reading files. And what the code is actually doing is inside a loop, and I think this loop is 100,000 iterations. It's actually opening a file, writing to it, and closing it inside a loop. Now, OpsPilot can't see the code in this particular case. I didn't share the code, but it did analyze it, and it recognized just from the profile that it's definitely got problems with file I/O, and it's spotted that basically the reading of the files is taking up to 82% of the total execution time. It's also seen that this byte order marker reader is taking about 30% of the time. That's actually a part of cold fusion. So I guess that's related to how Adobe's implemented this particular thing, but the AI is able to highlight that, and yeah, it's offering up some potential solutions. So we can do optimized file reading. We can reduce the frequency of checking the available bytes. And it's also suggesting we can use some asynchronous I/O in order to make the performance of this better, or caching. It's also suggesting. And again, if it takes a look at the code and it can suggest code snippets, that's actually what it's doing in this particular case. So it won't always rewrite the code for you, although it can do in certain cases as well. But quite often it will suggest a code snippet that you could use in order to improve the quality or the performance of your code. So if I go back now to the overview screen, and another point to mention here is that we can see we've got a history of all the chats that we've had with the AI across time. And this is also really interesting, because if you were investigating something, you'd be able to go back to that chat and take a look at it and say, okay, well, what was it? What was the issue in that particular case? And what was the response from the AI? So that's actually quite useful. And just before, I just asked it actually how many 200 status errors there were. So I'm going to go back to my history. I'm going to start a new chat here. So the concept with these chats is that if you started a chat, you can almost think of it like a context for a problem. So by starting a new chat here, I'm basically telling the AI, okay, I'm now interested in something else. And in this particular case, I've asked it how many 2XX status codes have we had in the last hour. Now, the idea here is that this is a natural language interface. So you can just, write a question. You can also talk to it. If I wasn't using my mic to, for the presentation today, I could actually switch on and then talk to Ops Pilot and ask it questions. It's pretty mind-blowing when you do it, but it'll pick the question up through the mic, translate it into plain English, and then ask that question. So we can see here, in this particular case, we've had 230,000, probably 200 status codes in the last hour. It's giving us a breakdown of where those codes were. So the majority were in Fusion Shop, which is one of our test applications. CF App was the application I've got on my machine. So I only did 8 transactions on CF App in the last hour. And what's also interesting here is Ops Pilot has visualized that for us. So a big part of how we've integrated the AI into the application is to be able to visualize things. And we're going to be seeing this more and more in the future. One of the things that we're working on at the moment is to be able to take what you're looking at on the screen and actually analyze that and explain what you're looking at. So imagine, now when you look at a graph or you look at a dashboard and you're having to sort of interpret that, the AI will do that for you in the future. It will be able to look at it, explain it, and basically tell you what's going on. So in this particular case, it's provided a graph, and you'll notice here at the top, it says View in Explore. And this is our Explore screen. What that does is it takes this data and it's built the queries for you. So the Explorer is a way that you can actually interact with the data, interact with the metrics, interact with the logs and the trace data to find out even more information. And there's definitely a learning curve to go through with using Explore. So there's basically a query language for this, but there's tools built into the UI which will assist you with building the queries, and it's very, very powerful once you get into that, to be able to look at the data. There's a lot of capability that we've got in there. And I just clicked on the templates here. You can see there's a bunch of sort of predefined questions that you could ask. And these are just suggestions. Like I said, you can type in any question, but I'm just going to ask one in this particular case. So are any of my services down, or am I experiencing any issues right now? So this is probably a very common question that you might ask, that maybe today you ask your DevOps engineer, is anything wrong with the application at the moment? And what I'm seeing is, and this literally, it gives me a different answer every single time because I've got different things running, but it's telling me my CF Storefront 1 is experiencing some issues with high latency. Also my Tomcat 9 server, that's running locally on my machine. It's got high CPU usage. It probably has. I can hear the fan going on my laptop because I'm pushing it. And I've also got there's a number of error transactions logged. So it's basically picked out everything that it's figured that's going wrong, and it's asking me if I would like the AI to investigate any of those issues. So the CF storefronts, the duration anomaly, or the error or rate anomalies. And let's just try the error anomaly. So now the AI's analyzed everything that's going on. It's given us an overview of where the problems are. It's picked out what it believes to be the most pertinent problems, and it's invited us to investigate. And that's exactly what we're doing. And it's explaining its planning, its investigation at the moment. That sounds a bit ominous. And as soon as it comes back with generating, that's basically it's done its investigation. Now it's providing us with what it sees as the potential issue. And we've actually got this an anomaly alert firing here. And that's quite interesting as well. So this is working together with the machine learning componentry. And I'll just show you that real quick. It's really interesting. So it's picked out a problem here, and it's determined that there is an anomaly firing for the machine learning. And if I just switch into dashboards, and then I take a look at the Anomaly Explorer, this is actually what's happening. So, and this is in CF Storefront 1. So what you're looking at here is it's basically information that we're analyzing as part of our machine learning algorithm. And the thick red line that you see here is basically where the machine learning has detected an anomaly. And there's another dashboard that I can show you here. Recently viewed. Let's see the where is it? Come on. Traces, dashboards, experimental. Where are you? Where are you? Kubernetes instance. Actually, it's in here. SRE dashboard. That's what I was looking for. So if I look at this, so this is our what we call the SRE dashboard. So Site Reliability Engineer. And when I look at this, I can see straight away that up at the top, we've got different types of errors that we can highlight. So if your application's throwing an error, you've got a duration error, so something's taking too long, or you've got a rate error. So something which in the past has happened with a certain frequency, now something's changed. So either the rate increased dramatically or it dropped dramatically. And what these different graphs are showing here is basically where you've got where the machine learning has actually detected an anomaly. And I can see this red line here, anomaly probability is 100%. So something's happened here where we got this peak, and that has been detected as an anomaly. And what we can actually see that in the last 3 hours, we detected 318 error anomalies on CF Storefront 1. And we use these to trigger alerts. So, and you can integrate this with email or Slack or Microsoft Teams. But looking at this, we've definitely had an error here, and yeah, that's what the machine learning algorithm is telling us. Okay, so that was the demo. I also want to say a few words, sort of to explain the difference between Fusion Reactor on-premise and cloud. Like I said, Fusion Reactor, the on-prem version that's been around since 2005, is really an on-premise. It's a complete APM solution. It's built for Java, so specifically for Cold Fusion and Lucy. It gives you a single instance view. There is some alerting built into it. But really, it's all about troubleshooting sort of single instances of a server. With Fusion Reactor Cloud, this is really what we see as sort of a 360-degree observability platform. So it's pulling in instrumentation data from Fusion Reactor agents, so it can certainly analyze your applications, but it also supports a number of other technologies because we're using open telemetry agents. We can also support other languages like Node or Python, Go, .NET, and we can also support many other technologies and integrations. So lots of different databases, things like Kafka, Redis, Kubernetes, and IIS as well. And there'll be many other integrations that are going to be coming across time. It's also got very advanced alerting capability. And as you've seen, we can ingest any types of logs, and we can visualize all this data through various different dashboards. Migrating from Fusion Reactor on-prem to cloud is very, very simple, very straightforward. Basically, all you need to do is sign up for a cloud account. You'll get a new cloud license key. That license key would replace your Fusion Reactor on-premise key. We always recommend that you upgrade to the latest Fusion Reactor agents. We're actually deprecating support now for the 8 and 9 agents. So anybody who's on one of those versions, you should really upgrade now. We're actually just about to release Fusion Reactor, the 12 agent. So that should be coming out very, very soon. Yeah, that's it. Put your credit card in and off you go. And if you do go for cloud, you've still got, and you're using the Fusion Reactor agent, you've got all the on-premise capability, so you don't lose anything. All you do is you add cloud capability. And like I said, you can also monitor logs, and you can also monitor other resources like IIS or databases or Kubernetes. From a pricing perspective, if you use the cloud, you need a plan. And we currently offer 3 plans. The starter plan, which is $49 a month, the Pro AI plan, and the Advanced AI plan. The plans give you so much metrics, logs, and traces, as well as Ops Pilot tokens. The starter plan gives you 10,000 metrics, 25 gig of logs and traces, and 500 tokens. And the tokens are what you need in order to interact with the AI. Obviously, you know, as we're requesting information from GPT-4 Turbo, that costs, we've got to pay for that. So the tokens essentially pay for that usage. And we're also storing the metrics, logs, and traces. So we're storing metrics for 13 months. So you imagine all that telemetry that you're sending up to the cloud, you can analyze that across a 13-month period. And the different plans, that basically gives you more and more data. So with the Pro plan, that's actually the most popular. You can send us up to 100 gigabytes of logs and 100 gig of traces, and you get 5,000 tokens rather than 500. Fusion Reactor agents, the price is exactly the same, so it's $79 a month. The licensing is just the same, and for each agent that you take, you actually get additional metric and log and trace capacity. That's just a part of the licensing that we've done. So to wrap up, OpsPilot really steering observability into the future. We're embracing AI as sort of this cornerstone of our observability platform. I hope that you've seen that it's really going to be transformational, and it's going to sort of move us forward into an era where we're able to automatically detect problems and provide you very, very detailed information on how you can address those problems and solve them. So we're still all about helping developers, helping you to get to the root of the problem. It's just with AI a much, much more sophisticated solution. So yeah, that was Fusion Reactor. I hope you enjoyed it. Does anybody have any questions? If you have, please feel free to put some questions. So I see we've got some. What version of Cold Fusion is this in? So this is in all versions of Cold Fusion. You actually need, let me be careful here. I think you need CF11 to run the latest version of our agent if you're using the Fusion Reactor agent, but anything so CF11 or above. And if you do have CF9 or a lower version, we actually do have an older version of the agent. So you can still use Fusion Reactor for really old versions, but with the cloud and the cloud agents, you need CF11 or above. How much traffic does it send to the cloud? Surprisingly, not that much. It's actually very, very compressed. And the way that we send data, we use something called Prometheus, and it's like a scraper. So we're scraping data, if that makes sense. And it's actually very, very performant, and you don't notice it. I mean, now I'm doing this presentation, I'm running video, I'm sending, I've got a number of applications running where I'm streaming data up to the cloud all the time. We never noticed anything. We never noticed any slowdown. The cloud was instant. So it really is, you shouldn't worry about traffic being sent. Anybody else? I see there's a couple of people writing. So next question. What do people think of the advent of AI and the advent of OpsPilot? Do you see this as something that you will be able to assist you with your work and your analysis? So Aidan asked a question: of the metrics observed, are any of them for the underlying infrastructure as well as the application? Yeah, there's loads of things. So the infrastructure, if I go onto the integration dashboards, so this is the Node Explorer here. So this is all, I'm looking at file system information here. This is all infrastructure, or disk storage. So I'm looking at disk IO ops completed. This has got nothing to do with, traditional Fusion Reactor application metrics. This is all stuff directly from your server. So hopefully that answers that question. Do you have clients who are using other tech, like other than CF? Yes, we do. We've got customers who are actually using. We've got a few customers now who are using Node. I didn't actually show you that, but how are we doing for time? We've not got that much time, but real quick, I can actually show you that as well. If I drill into, so I've got a transaction here. If I look at the detailed trace here, a couple of things are interesting. One, we can, oh, did I pick the wrong one? I picked the wrong one. Just a sec. That was the demo effect there. Let me take another transaction. Okay, hopefully this is it. Yeah, this is it. So here, with this transaction, if I show you the node graph, so this is visually representing this node, which you can see is very useful. But if I drill down here, so this is what we call a distributed trace. And I can see right down at the bottom that it's doing a HTTP post. I've then got some, this process orders some Java thing. I've got an external database here, so I can see an insert and a select. And the shipping processor, this is written in Node. So I know that because the telemetry, the SDK language is Node.js, and I'm able to visualize that as a component within my transaction. So this is showing that, this stuff really works. You can look at different languages. You can interlace those languages with each other. So it actually seems fairly common that CFers are using technologies like Node. So you'll be able to visualize that all within Fusion Reactor. Great. Jeff, thanks for the feedback. Aidan, thanks for the feedback. If there's any other questions, please feel free. If you'd also like to try out Fusion Reactor or Fusion Reactor Cloud, just drop us an email at sales@fusion-reactor.com. You can see the email us at sales@fusion-reactor.com, and or you can just go to the website and sign up. Yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody, and have a great rest of the day. Oh, and there's yeah, we've also got a €50 Amazon gift card to give away to one person, and you can shoot a question to the audience. Okay. A question for the audience is, God, think of a question. What's the next version of Cold Fusion going to be called? So not CF23. What's the next version? Code name CF24. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll give it, it's probably not going to be CF26 or CF, I believe it's going to be CF24. So Sid Wing, if you want to make yourself known, and Sid, you were the fastest. Let's hope it is CF24. I believe it is, but we'll take that as the right answer. So yeah, if you share your mail ID, Sid, then we'll get that gift voucher to you. All right.